Hey everybody. There was no time this morning for a proper um, breakfast video because I had a doctor's appointment. Actually, no, we're gonna leave that in a little longer. Oh, Zorro, seriously, buddy. Y'all are not gonna believe this, but I just brushed him. I brushed him for like a solid 10 minutes, long enough for him to get overstimulated and bite me. So yeah, he can just um, hang out for a while. Like he meows like he wants more brushing, but if I go to brush him again, he'll just bite me again or swat or something. I get it. They get overstimulated. It's not their fault or whatever, but I'd be ridiculous to go out and try to brush him some more. Um, that said, I did give him some catnip, which he, happily rolled around in, but it doesn't seem to have done anything for his anxiety or whatever this is. Um, anyway, like I said, didn't have time for a breakfast video this morning, so I thought I'd just do like a quick lunchtime check-in. Um, and we're just doing a little bit of turkey soup that's, like the last of the leftovers from Thanksgiving. Good times. And yes, that was a sprig of rosemary that I put in my soup. Not to be, like some sort of like attempted fancy about it. It's just, you put the rosemary as a sprig in the soup. I find that if you leave it in long enough, it, like it seasons the soup just fine. And it's a lot easier than trying to like take all of like the little prickly bits off of it and chop them up real fine and drip that into the soup, especially when you're heating up leftover soup. Just takes forever to like soften the little suckers. But oh, Zorro. Hmm. One thing I forgot to mention to the doctor. I get this tremor in my left hand and neglected to mention that. But uh, but I mentioned a lot of other things. Oof, we went, you know, uh, way down the path of what all is wrong with Merri-rae. And we didn't quite arrive at the point of what isn't wrong with Merri-rae, but there's a lot. There's a lot of little things. And suffice to say, um, there are tests in the future, various panels and such. And looks like I'm going to actually get scoped, like an endoscopy. They're actually going to put the little camera down here because, like I told you guys last time, um, I get pain, especially in my esophagus. It just, it's like it doesn't hurt in the throat and it doesn't really hurt in the stomach, but the esophagus is just really, really sensitive. Oh, buddy, come on. Come on. He's looking at me with those owl eyes like, what? I'm like, you know what? Anyway. Hmm. But the good news is he just used his brand new fancy uh, water fountain. You guys have probably seen ads for them. It's like the stainless steel water fountain that's like motion sensitive and it's got like a very flat top to it so it doesn't bother their whiskers and um, I'll get a picture of it later or something. Not sponsored. I don't even remember the name, but I was really glad to get it because keeping the cats in fresh water has proven very challenging for me with my memory issues. So this thing, well, it is supposed to be cleaned every day. It is giving them, oh, buddy, it is giving them, like nice filtered, clean water on a regular basis, and I don't have to worry about hair getting in there or like icky little bits of food. They're the messiest eaters of any cat I've ever had, and I've had quite a few over the years. So Oh, anyway, I plugged it in the first time I assembled it, plugged it in. They hated it. Hated it. They stared at it like it was possessed by a ghost. They were just so weirded out by like the motion thing. They're just, I wish I had gotten footage of it because they looked so funny. They were just like standing on top of the dining room table, just like staring down at like, what is this sorcery? And so I turned it off for a while and just put their food next to it, let them get used to just it being there. And eventually I turned it back on, but not on the um, motion sensor. There's like a different setting where you can put it on, um, like I said, like a timer setting, so that it's like every 15 minutes it just dispenses more fresh water. And it does like hold the little sort of flat tray thing. It holds like a tiny amount of water, but most of it does drain off. So with the timer, like they'll still have like access to water whenever they whenever they feel like drinking. Um, but after a while, I turned back on the motion sensor because I figured, it had been enough time. And hallelujah, Zorro just drank from it like a minute ago. So, I would just got to get Shady on board and, and then I can do away with the little, um, uh, bowls of water that get so gross so fast, especially with their little crumbs of food. Just, bleh, you know, they eat like horses. They're just messy eaters, my boys. But mm, it's good soup. It's yeah, it's not hurting my esophagus. Um, my stomach a little bit, but I'm at the point where I think anything I swallow it gets my stomach a little bit churned up. Gets the acid production kind of going over time. Hence the scope. I mean, my doctor explained to me that just because I've got problems with my esophagus and my stomach, that doesn't necessarily make it GERD per se. There are other things that could be going on instead. So yeah, so we'll schedule it and I will report back to you. I will probably not be sharing any video created there. That's just that's not the vibe, right? That's not really our thing. So mm. Meanwhile, nothing has been done with the house, buddy. Seriously, seriously, you're gonna get the internet thinking that like I never brush you or feed you or let you go outside or whatever, buddy. No, no, I shouldn't be giving it energy. Um, I know that, but it's hard not to. It's hard not to respond. Like when the cat is whining at you. You just want to say, you want to talk, or I want to talk to them as if they could possibly understand what I'm saying, which of course they can't. Um, they do get like a sense of your energy, I think. Um, so like what you say to them like affects your own tone. I mean, is it possible to say something like totally mean to your cat, but say it in like a sweet, cute way? Yeah, and I've done that, but like as a joke. Mostly, if I talk to my cats, I'm coming at them sincerely, and obviously, I know they don't speak English. If they speak any human language at all, I know they don't speak English because they give me no sense that they understand what I'm saying. But um, but I'm hopefully like projecting like calm energy when I say things like no, 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 no. I love you, but no. Yes. Hopefully. Hopefully. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm bringing all kinds of anxious energy to that conversation, and I just don't know it. But wouldn't be the first time. But hmm. Anyway, was I already talking about the house? I can't remember. Anyway, nothing has been done since yesterday, and I mean nothing. I haven't so much as vacuumed since yesterday. I've got about, no exaggeration, about 100 books that I need to stash somewhere, probably under my bed until the holidays are over, and then I can pull them back out again and clutter up the living room all over again. Um, a lot of the books I have are literature based. You know, they're either like old textbooks that I rescued from the trash, or they're um, writing handbooks, um, books specifically for teachers, like stuff I just can't bring myself to throw away. And I keep telling myself I'm going to find a use for them, or I'm going to find the right person to give them away to. And I'm sure Mari would tell me, you're just, it don't spark joy. And if it don't spark joy, it's got to go. So yeah, I'm not there. I'm not there yet. I gotta, I just gotta keep hanging on to them for a little while, at least, just a little while longer. And yeah, but though I have some, some of those flattish plastic containers that I can stash them in and put them under the bed and pretend they're not there until after the holidays. And anyway. But the one thing I did do yesterday, I went out and I bought some more string lights. Not a ton of string lights because, like I told you guys in the previous video, I left my cache of string lights back in the old house in Mississippi. Oops. So I need, I feel I need string lights. No one really needs string lights. It's, not against the law to go all the way through Christmas without decorating your yard with string lights. But, you know, you don't need stockings either. You don't need a tree. You don't need any of this stuff. And, um, but you want it like in a really, deep way. I think it's a fine line between crass materialism and a sort of, like a deeper sense of want that reflects joy, right? Again, Kanamari. Um, there are the things that we do because they are traditional, and that tradition brings us great comfort and hope. And it's like, look how many Christmases I've made it through already. Surely I'll get through one more year. Surely. I actually remember specifically, I had a dear friend and a neighbor years and years ago when I lived in Virginia. And he was very ill. Like, there was it was a distinct possibility that he might pass away from what he had at the time. And I don't mean to be cagey about it. It's just not my story to tell, so I don't want to get into details. Suffice to say, there was serious concern about how much longer he had left, but there was also hope that that the doctors would actually get him through it, and and then he'd have years and years, decades left. So I was I was moving. It was the summertime. It was 2019, and our family was moving out of Virginia. We were going all the way to Mississippi, and I happen to have this bottle of champagne that had just been sitting in my cupboard for a little while. Good bottle, and and it was in a nice box and everything. And I ran it up. We lived in a condo complex, so like an apartment building. And I knew what his apartment number was, so I just ran this bottle up to his room, like literally stuffing stuff into boxes. It was a very fast move. Um, but I found this thing in my cupboard, and I said, I know exactly who this needs to go to. And I ran it upstairs, and I knocked on his door, and his wife answered, and he had like just gotten back from the emergency room that morning. And like he couldn't see people. He couldn't see people. But I could hear him in the living room, and he just went, bad timing. And I was like, story of my life. And I handed the box, to her, and I said, this is for New Year's Eve. You know, it's July, New Year's Eve, kind of an obvious gesture. And she said, thank you. And then shame on me, I actually lost touch with them. It just, I moved to a new place, and I can very quickly lose touch with people. I'm just not good at staying in touch with people when you have to move it online or, phone calls. With my family, I do, or I try to. But with friends, it's one of those things where I'll get on Facebook like once in a blue moon, and I'll reach out to a few people and say, "Hey, how's it going?" But I just don't keep in touch very well. I think I used to, but I guess it was about probably 2016 or so. I just kind of wandered away, and then like in 2020, I wandered back on for some months, for the obvious reason, and then I wandered away again. Uh, and it's probably something I could be working on along with 50 other things. Mm. Oh, it is good soup though. Mm. I used um, obviously the turkey. I'm going to need this spoon to finish this. So leftover turkey, leftover carrots, and I added some celery in there, and chicken broth. But then I also used the pan juices from the roasting pan from the turkey, and it's so rich. It's so rich, and yeah, just tastes really good. And unfortunately, this is not all that's left. I can have this again for dinner or lunch tomorrow. I'm making the kid spaghetti and meatballs for dinner, but I'm not really supposed to have tomato sauce. They get highly acidic, very bad for the, you know, um, digestive tract. Tract? Tract. Digestive tract. Who knows? Um, if you're in the medical profession, please, leave a comment. Let me know if it's track or tract. I can't, you know. Mm. Mm, 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 mm. And yes, I can taste the rosemary as well. Oh, good stuff. So anyway, like I said, I got more string lights, and I guess I did kind of go overboard because I'm so crummy with dimensions. I think I probably got too many, especially for hanging, across the top of the house. Um, but I figure I kept the receipt. Better to get too much and then return it rather than get too little, and then you go back to the store and they're sold out. That's no good. So I have a hard time believing that I'll get to hang up string lights today. For one thing, I have to borrow a ladder from a neighbor. Maybe I'll get that for Christmas. Santa, Santa want to send me a ladder and some large clippers I can use for the hedge. Maybe a hedge trimmer. Fancy, fancy, fancy. Of course, knowing me, I get a hedge trimmer. I'll cut my. Okay, I was about to say something gross and graphic, and you know, and we try not to do that here, right? We try to keep it positive ish. Yeah. Mm. Mm. There's a funny thing to me though, talking about that whole positivity thing, because I know I do complain. I don't know if I've been complaining in these videos or not, but it is very normal for me to be, like always have something to kvetch about. Um, and I don't know, to me that is in a way, it is positive in a way. Like I know a ton of people disagree with me about that. It's especially if you have to listen to other people complain. You have to listen to other people's problems, and it can get very boring very fast. So I sympathize. On the other hand, I think I don't know if it's cultural, if it's just like this is the way I heard adults around me, expressing themselves while I was growing up. But to me, when you complain, when you give voice to the things that are frustrating you, you um, process it a little bit. Hopefully there's somebody there with you who can say, "Oh, that just sounds terrible," and then you can say, "Oh, it's not that bad. I mean, I'm just, you know." Um, or you not only are you processing a little bit, but you're also, I think, just by giving them voice, you're putting them into perspective. You know what I mean? Just to say out loud, these are my problems. It's like I don't have enough time to hang up my string lights because I'm busy applying for jobs and, excuse me, and making YouTube videos for my baby brand new channel, and and applying to a grad program. I think that's news to you guys. I don't think I've mentioned that before, but I am in the process of applying to a to grad school for, drum roll, library science. So that's, fingers crossed about that. Um, and just to say that out loud, it's like, oh, okay, so you you don't have as much money as you'd like, but you've got a roof over your head, you got food, you're literally dressed in clothing, you have something to decorate for Christmas, and you are busy doing things that are productive, or at least potentially productive. The whole like job thing that's up in the air. Um, Even getting the application done might prove to be productive, might not. But it's, am I wasting time all day watching videos? No. Part of the day, yes, but not the whole day. I'm not spending all day watching YouTube. I'm I don't know, 5 hours. I don't know how much. It's not important how much. The point is, I'm getting things done. There are a lot of things to get done, and but another example, I have to leave uh, at like at 1 o'clock my time to go pick up my kid from school, because I have a kid. I have a really great kid. Sorry. So suffice to say, I could say, oh, I got to get out of here at 1 o'clock because I got to go pick up the kid at school, and I got work this afternoon. It's like, oh, you have work, you have a job. So you know, I I don't know. It's like that's the unspoken part of complaining. And so I can totally appreciate that other people would hear all of that and say, wow, what a spoiled human being that just, can't recognize her blessings, just complains about, the, the parts of her life that aren't perfect. And yeah, I never ever mean it that way. I hardly ever mean it that way. Um, But uh, yeah, it's something I figure I better start working on because, of course, you know, I know someone who works in communications, and he likes to say that if a message is not understood, it's the fault of the person who sent the message, not the person who received the message. In other words, if you want someone to understand something, you need to put it in terms that they understand. So, yeah, I'm working on it, or it occurs to me that I should work on it, which is it's the same thing, isn't it? Sorry, I really don't know what the heck this is, but I don't know. It comes and goes. It comes and goes, and especially if I'm holding something for a long time, it'll happen, and then it passes. I really should have mentioned it to the doctor today. But good news, I'm going back to see the doctor in a couple of weeks after all of these panels are done and whatnot. And I'll mention it then. I could even like send an email or a text in the meantime to say, hey, forgot to mention I've got this like little palsy or whatever in my left hand. I've only been doing that for like a month, maybe 4 weeks. Lest you think this is one of the many things about my health that I've been neglecting for years. This is new. And as I said, it comes and goes. So we'll get that. We will get that looked at very soon. Sorry for the scraping noise. I hope that's not getting picked up by the mic. But you have to scrape because there's all of this delicious like turkey and veggies at the bottom. Can't let those go to waste or anything. Oh goodness. Oh. So yeah, priorities being the grad school application, because the deadline for that is pretty soon. And yeah, got to leave in a little over an hour. Got work this afternoon. So yeah, but just practically speaking, I'm not going to get to do at least not the outside lights. Maybe I could finally, do at least part of the inside of the house so that it's not so dull for you guys, because it is December. It's time to like start, getting in the spirit of the thing, deck them halls and all that. Oh, that's good soup. Oh, goodness me. Oh, wow. I've got all of these items that I've been wanting to put up on eBay for months and months. I don't remember if I mentioned those before, but that's also on the to-do list. I was just glancing over and I saw a couple of items and I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to go up on eBay and haven't dealt with it. But it's, it is the season, right? I mean, this is exactly the kind of time of year when people are looking online, not just for new stuff, but, for like, or at least certainly I do. I look online for used stuff at Christmas all the time, and go thrifting and that sort of thing. And people don't necessarily want new things, at least in my experience. They want things that suit their taste. That could be like some vintage collectible or, some board game that they'd like to play. And it's like, okay, it's not a new copy of the board game, but so what? It's got all the pieces. I don't know. I'm sure there are some people who are like, if it's not new, then why are you giving me this? But in my experience, most people are just like, this is something that I like, and you knew that, so this is very thoughtful, and thank you very much, and Merry Christmas. Yeah. Anyway, that's my time. And I hope that you guys had a delicious breakfast and lunch, and that you'll have a good dinner. And just remember to stay hydrated and think positive, and yeah, do the best you can for yourself always. Okay, bye.